Am I the asshole for calling the police on my own mother after discovering that my dead twin sister has been a prisoner in our basement for 20 years? My name is Sarah. When I was 3 years old, my twin sister, Lily, supposedly died in a tragic car accident. At least, that's what I was told my entire life. My mother, Diane, was the picture of a grieving parent. Our house was like a shrine to Lily. Her photos were everywhere, her toys remained untouched, and every year on our birthday, Mom would bake two cakes, one for me and one for Lily's spirit. I grew up in the shadow of a ghost. Mom always reminded me how perfect Lily was and how I had to live my life for both of us. I never questioned her grief. I just felt lucky to have such a devoted mother. There was only one rule in our house: never go behind the heavy red door in the basement. Mom said it was full of toxic black mold and old, painful memories that would break her heart if I disturbed them. I believed her. Sometimes at night, I'd hear thumping or scratching sounds coming from downstairs. When I asked, Mom would just stroke my hair and say, "It's just the old pipes, Sarah. Go back to sleep." Last week, Mom had to go in for emergency surgery and stayed at the hospital overnight. That night, a massive rainstorm hit and our basement began to flood. I ran downstairs to save what I could, but the water was gushing from behind the red door. I tried the handle. It was locked with 4 heavy-duty deadbolts. Something felt wrong. Why would you lock mold away with 4 locks? I grabbed a crowbar and spent an hour breaking through those locks. When the door finally swung open, there was no mold. It was a soundproofed room lined with thick foam, and in the corner, sitting on a thin mattress, was a woman. She looked exactly like me, but her skin was paper white, and her eyes were filled with a terror I can't describe. It was Lily. She wasn't a ghost. She was alive. She had been living in that room for 20 years. When I tried to touch her, she let out a sound, not a scream, but a dry, raspy whimper, like she had forgotten how to use her voice. She didn't even know what the sun looked like. I called 911 immediately. By the time the police arrived, my mother had checked herself out of the hospital early and caught me in the driveway. She didn't look guilty, she looked angry. She screamed at me that Lily was sick and difficult, and that she had kept her down there to protect her from a cruel world. She claimed she was a hero for dedicating her life to caring for her. But then the police found my mother's journals. There was no illness. Lily was a perfectly normal child. My mother had locked her away simply because Lily was stubborn and strong-willed as a toddler, and Mom couldn't control her. She didn't want 2 daughters. She wanted one perfect one she could mold and a tragic story to gain sympathy from the town. Now, my mother is facing life in prison, and my entire extended family is calling me a traitor. They say I should have handled it within the family, and that Lily's adjustment to the real world is going to be more painful than the basement was. They're blaming me for destroying our family's reputation and putting an old woman behind bars. Lily is 23 now, but mentally, she's still that 3-year-old girl who was locked away. So, am I the asshole for choosing the truth and destroying my mother's life? Or was our family already destroyed the moment she turned that key 20 years ago?